Well, hey, how we doing in here? Going live on a Sunday. We're live at 5. I am came on a little early so we can let YouTube tell all the people that we're here. Let YouTube tell the people. Let Facebook tell the people. Tell the people. We need the people to know that we are here on a Sunday evening live at 5. Live at 5 on a Sunday evening. See what we're doing. Hopefully y'all have finished your trip to church. Hopefully you finished your family time. See what banner I want to run up in here. Don't. Can y'all hear me? Hey there. What's the name? Been tripping a little bit. Live stream as far as the microphones, but I did test it out beforehand and it did show that it was working. So I'm going to say it's hopefully good. If it's not, please let me know so we can make a change as soon as possible. April 1st through May 17. All righty. Register an educator to trader. Okay. Yes, wonderful. Hey, Zoe. Hey, Patrick. Hey, Royal Diadem. Hey, Esther's. Hi, is this live? It is live, Esther. Yes, this is live. It is 5 p.m. or almost 5 p.m. in Jacksonville, Florida, where I am hailing from. You know, who hails from Jacksonville? I'm hailing from Jacksonville. Hey, Adrian. So, yes, it is definitely live in living color. I'm live and in living color. Hope y'all have had a really good weekend. I've had a good weekend thus far. I got to spend some one-on-one time, some rare one-on-one time with my husband yesterday. So we had a down day in Educator to Trader. So I was able to spend a little time kind of hanging out with him yesterday, which was really good. And it's always great to be able to do that. Being, the life of an entrepreneur doesn't always lend itself to family time, relationship time, and sometimes people can feel like they really are kind of missing out or not really getting enough. Even though you're taking the energy and you're building for the collective good, it still can sometimes feel like there's a bit of a tug of war. So we always have to manage balance. And my mother used to talk to me about balance. Even when I was younger, she would talk to me about balance. When I was first raising my children and doing all the things, she would talk about balance. And generally you don't want to hear that. You don't want to hear anything about balance. After I got married, periodically my husband would also bring up some stuff about balance. And again, you don't want to hear that. But then when you start thinking about it, if you focus on, you may be so focused on one thing, and this may be a message for somebody. You may be so focused on accomplishing this goal over here, you'll get what you want, but then you might lose what you have, or you lose what you had. And that's not at all what we're after here. We want to keep it all. I think we can have it all. You can have a solid relationship, and you can have a productive and profitable business, and you can have a spiritual life that is pleasing unto the Lord. That's the way, if that's something that you're doing with your life, you can have a life. For me, that's important to me. So I want to have a life that is also pleasing to the Lord. So all the things that you have to, it all comes down to balance. It all comes down to balance. That's really what I'm saying. All that to say, it really all comes down to balance is what it comes down to, right? I was given some time for all of the platforms to tell the people that we are here. Hey, Janae, and hey, Karen, how y'all doing? To tell the folks we're here. We just finished up our 3-day challenge. It was so good. I really feel like we run that challenge several times. And every time we run it, it gets better and better, right? I think I've run it for a couple of days. I ran it 2 days most times. This time I ran 3 days because the third day we needed to do some stuff that had to do with charting and technical analysis. And I'm glad I did 3 days because I feel like when I did it for 2 days, I felt like we were really rushed to push all the information in. But when I made it 3 days, it gave me a little bit of room, and it gave the people who were part of the challenge to have a chance to absorb the information. So I feel like the challenge was successful. If you were in my challenge, you put something in the, put a comment in the chat and says me, or it was good, it was horrible, whatever, whatever you want. I hope somebody says it was horrible, because I hope it wasn't horrible. But put something in the chat or in the comments. If you were a part of the challenge and you really thought it was great and you enjoyed it, or you got some value out of it, please put something into the comments and let the people know that Arlissa is over here and she's, doing all she can to make sure that the folks are getting a little bit of knowledge, or getting a lot of bit of knowledge. If it's nothing more than to start you on your journey. Real Item said me, and it was good. Definitely, we want to make sure that we're getting people off on the road. Of course, we can take you from beginning all the way up to being a trader, master trader, who's pulling in resources every single week. But it's got to start. We've got to start where you are, right? We got to start where we are. Janae said, appreciated the challenge. Thanks again. Absolutely. Zoe said it was very good. I think it was really good too. I enjoyed it. I have to say, I really enjoyed it. It's been a long time since I've done teaching on a Friday night or whatever, but I actually enjoyed our Friday night session this past Friday. Right, I really enjoyed it. So, yeah, that was we just wrapped that up, and that was good. We've got some good stuff on the conversation for today. First thing we're going to talk about is we're going to take a quick look at what happened last week in a few stocks, just a few. Then we're going to move into what's coming, what we believe is coming this coming week. We're going to look at what is on the horizon. And then I am going to share with you, I spent some time today and just thinking about this. I'm going to share with you 4 ways that you can trade NVIDIA if you don't have a lot of money, right? Because some people are like, those NVIDIA contracts is like expensive, right? I'm going to show you 4 ways that you can trade NVIDIA or whatever this week, or any, you really can translate this to other stocks as well. But I'm going to show you 4 ways that you can trade stocks that may be out of your reach, or stocks that may be, a little more money than you want to spend. Hey, Tanya. Marcia says, enjoy the challenge. Thank you so much. So I'm going to get to that today too. I'm going to cover that, and we'll work through that. And so you all be ready. I'm thinking we'll be here an hour, maybe a little bit longer than an hour, but I think I can get us covered in maybe an hour 15. Either way, I'm not going to rush it. I'm gonna put the information, as they say, I'm gonna put it down where the goats can get it. Not that I'm calling anybody a goat, but I'm gonna put the information out there, and we're gonna utilize it to our best abilities when the market opens. Tomorrow, we'll be ready to do it. Tomorrow, yes, that's what we're gonna do. Okay, let's go take a look at what actually went down yesterday. Let me see if I can share my screen. I probably need to put this up here. That way it'll be where I need it to be. Yep. I'll put it up here. That way when I share, everything I need is in the right place. It was a lot of good information on the option process. Thank you, Miss Deborah. Deborah said she was at the challenge as well. A lot of good information. You know what? Because, sharing and learning about options is a whole new education for many of us. It was a whole new education for me when I got started. I didn't know anything about options. I didn't know anything about the stock market. It was not something I was ever taught. My parents didn't talk stocks. They didn't even talk 401ks. That wasn't when 401ks were as popular back then. And I didn't know nothing at all about the stock market. It was after I went into corporate America as an engineer. I worked for GE as my first job. I worked for General Electric. And there were people there who were talking about stock options, and we had 401ks then, but I knew very little. All I knew, everybody said, was put your money in your 401k. They said, max it out. It was like, max out for what? I mean, I did it, but I didn't know, it wasn't real clear as to the whys and whatever. And so I learned it that way. And my knowledge base kind of grew just from being around, but it's a whole new education, and options wasn't talked about. I graduated from college in 92, and trading stock options wasn't anywhere near the level of talk that is happening now in the stock market. And options was not a discussion. Not at all. Okay, let's look at SPX from last week. And SPX is going to give us a good, picture of what happened last week in the overall market. No, it's not going to cover all the stocks. I mean, but it's going to tell you like what happened in the market. So back on this is the weekly chart. I'm looking at SPX and I'm looking at the weekly chart. So each one of these candles is 1 week's worth of data. Each candle has 1 week's worth of data inside of it. Okay. So this little gray area here is a gap. But for last week, right? Look, we had a doji candle 2 weeks ago, which was this one here. This one here was the week of March the 4th, which was last week. A little doji with long wick up, long wick down. Now this can be, and like here might have been a little bit of an indication of a little bit of a turnaround, because we opened a little lower. Here we opened lower, and then we want to stretch this out a little bit. Maybe it'd be easier to see, right? So it opened up lower last week, but it did, climb during the week and long wick again. The open for last week was 51.11, but the high of the week was 51.79. Y'all see that? See this big old green wick? Even though it opened at 51.11, it went as high as 51.79, and it actually closed at 51.17. So it closed very close to where it opened, but the price action for the week did a whole lot of movement. And the low of the week was at 50.91. It went down into the top 5,000s, 50.5091. Now, I'm using TradingView as my charting platform. I talked during the challenge and all. TradingView is where it's a good place to chart. It's got lots of different features and whatever. If you check my comments, if you don't have TradingView, you can actually check my comments and there's a link down there for you. But I like TradingView as a charting platform, especially if the platform you're using doesn't have charting, for like people who are using Robinhood. And there are people now who are starting to pick up Robinhood even more, because Robinhood is expanding their offerings. Robinhood has more stuff than they used to have. They actually have a little bit of charting, but it's not as robust as something like a TradingView. But so if you have a platform that doesn't have good charting, then you can always come to TradingView and chart. Now, TradingView was free for people who were new for a while. I feel like they're now not free for new registrants. I think if you already had it free, you can keep using it free. But I think if you're coming new to TradingView, you may have to pay on one of their small plans. But I'm telling you, a charting platform is very, very, very worth the money, right? There's several places you can chart for free. Some of them, there's like Yahoo Finance and some other places, but none of them are really as good as charting on TradingView. So basically, that's what we had looking at for last week. Let's move to our daily chart, which means every one of these candles is 1 day worth of data. So this was Monday. Tuesday was the big run up day. Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday we had a drop off on Friday. It dropped down to, what was this? It opened at 51.23 and it closed at 51.17. Amazing. That's at 51.17 I was talking about, which is almost where it was this first day, where it closed this first day, right along the real close. I'm not one who likes to talk about a lot of manipulation, but some of this might look a little manipulated. Okay. Either way, last week we had PMI. Not PMI. Yes, we did. We had CPI and PPI last week, not PMI. I think that's next week. We had CPI and PPI last week, and those things did cause a little bit of a ruckus. Let's see, we got our Tuesday. We had this was CPI, I think, was on Tuesday, and then PPI was on Thursday, and we fell off, and we got a gap here that now needs to be filled. The market likes to fill its gaps, so there are some people who run a whole gap trading strategy. I'm not one of them, but I do know that, when there's gaps, the market wants to fill these gaps. So there are people who trade gap strategies all the time. I feel like this gap candle here has probably been filled. Yep, it was filled exactly with that right there. It filled it like to the dollar bill, y'all. And my sentiment is that a gap is not filled until the box or the open close part of the candle fills it. Now, some people really believe that it's filled if the price action does it. And again, I think that's neither here nor there. I think it really comes down to the individual's preference. That's Arlissa's sentiment. Okay. Speaking of which, I didn't say this yet, but I'm not a financial advisor. I none of this stuff is financial advice. I really will show you what I see. We'll talk about it. We'll enjoy it. I'm not responsible for any wins or losses. I'm gonna celebrate with you when you celebrate, and I'm gonna commiserate with you when we're not celebrating. But I'm not responsible. Okay, this is what happened in SPX last week. Now, we had some drops, though, in some of the other areas that we were concerned about last week. We had some fall offs, and yeah, our semiconductors did some stuff last week, and we'll talk about NVDA and some other things soon in our conversation, but let's not go there right now. So let's talk about what we got going on earnings coming up for this coming week. We're ending or we're wrapping up earnings season, right? So there's not a whole lot still happening, but we still got some in here that we may want to look at. On Monday, we got SAIC, Embraer, New, Exogen. That's Monday morning before the market opens. Come on, there we go. After market closes, we got Stone and D-Local, Lantern Pharma. Looks like Freighton. All right, we got Comtech, Bit Digital. How that's jumped. That's ringing a bell for me. Not sure why. And RF Industries. That's all on Monday. On Tuesday morning, before market opens, we've got XPeng. I think XPeng is in the electric vehicle space. Tencent Music Entertainment. Now, Tencent are the people who created several apps, some of the Asian apps. But I didn't know they had a music entertainment. Maybe they, broke off or something like that. So that's going to be Tencent Music Entertainment, Huya, Calorays, and Core and Main. Some of these I haven't never heard of. Tuesday after market closes, we've got TerraWolf, Health Equity, ZTO. Let's look at Asian company, Harrow, Cyclacel, Ralmada, Corvus. Again, they aren't making any. I don't know anything about them. Wednesday before market opens, we've got Pinduoduo, which that has been brought up. PDD has been brought up before. I think Pinduoduo was named something else, and they switched it to Pinduoduo. They became something else. So that may be what's going on with that. Let me turn on YouTube so I can see the comments, because right now I can't see your comments, and I want to be able to do that. If some comments are made, I want to be able to see them. So let me make sure I'm there and can see the comments. Oh, here we go. Good. Hey, Asleen, how you doing? We've got General Mills is Wednesday morning, Genco, Bionitech, Ollie's, the low price people. If anybody ever shopped at Ollie's, you can redo your whole house out of Ollie's and buy all the stuff you need there. Sport Trader, Kingsoft Cloud, Orla Mining, never heard of them. I wonder if they're a Bitcoin miner. And then Mogo. Now, what's probably being looked for is this Micron MU. I don't think I put MU on the list. I was going to show y'all later. I'll make sure to mention it then, but it's got earnings this week. Micron is MU. We got Chewy. People definitely buy that Chewy stuff for their dogs, because I see the boxes in my neighborhood on garbage day. KB Homes, Five Below, Heartbeam, Guess is here. Steelcase is on Wednesday after market closes. Lithium Argentina. On Thursday morning, Intuitive Machines. We've got Accenture, Sundial. Sundial is that the cannabis people? I think people were real. We were real. Because when I first started trading, Sundial was being discussed a lot, and then it kind of fell off the map. But Sundial is currently $1.40. They got earnings. See, it lets you know that your company doesn't have to be big in order to have stock, right? You don't have to be big to have stock. So if you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to go public, just know, don't let the size of your company keep you from going public. Academy Sportswear, Darden, the restaurants is having earnings Thursday morning. Baozun, I'm thinking this is something in Asia. Mink, Accenture, FactSet, and Lufax. Thursday after market closes, we've got Nike and Lululemon. Those two may be of interest. FedEx, which FedEx and the other people, the brown folks, always kind of run together. So keep that in mind. Digital Direct Holdings, Vitru, Ascensus, Higher Quest, Hyperfine. Again, Taylor, some people I never heard of. And then Friday morning, there's nothing here for Friday morning. There's no earnings there. Hey, Tamar, how y'all doing? How y'all doing? Okay, so that's what we got for coming up for earnings this week. I think probably the most anticipated one out of this list would probably be Micron there, maybe KB Homes, Nike may probably be there. If there's anything other that you think is going to be highly anticipated, go ahead and put it in the comments. I just think Micron, General Mills kind of, to me, feels like it's one of those like inflationary ones. The General Mills probably gives out dividends. I don't know this for sure. That may be one. Nike, Lululemon, FedEx, those are they may be ones that are of interest. Right, here is our list of trade ideas for this week. If you're in any of my communities, if you're in my telegrams or you follow me on Facebook, you should be able to see this list. I almost put Nike on this list, but they're having earnings this week, so I left it off. This is the earnings list. This is the list for this week, not earnings list. This is the list of potential trade ideas for this week. Potential trade ideas for this. We got some call credit spreads and some put credit spreads on both sides that could be of interest to the people, right? I want to share with you all, if you see something on that you're interested in, maybe we can look at something toward the end. So take a snapshot of what's there, and maybe we can look. I know Exxon has been doing really well, and I almost hesitate to mention it because as soon as you gets mentioned, they start going a different direction. But TQQQ has been fine. Exxon, Taiwan Semiconductors and some of those last week didn't do so well. Amazon did fine last week. AMD did not. But I'm going to show y'all that real quick here in a minute. So I would like to be transparent because I know people literally can come online and tell you whatever they want to tell you. People say, yeah, I made $1,000 last week. And they might have made $1,000, but they didn't tell you that they lost 950 the following day because they traded something they shouldn't have traded. They may, oh, yeah, I made the 1,000. But anyway, now more about me. This was our results from last week. Right? We had 14 of 20 profitable trades last week. So I've said in the past when we had like 18 out of 20, I was like, yeah, 90%, 90p. And those are great. Those are the good weeks. We love them. But I also wanted to come back before you and say last week we had some breaches, right? Valley, which I think is oil people. Mara was breached. Palantir was breached last week. SOXL, because SOXL is in the space of the semiconductors. Taiwan Semiconductors, these both were in the same space. They did AMD, same space. All three of these were in the same space. So they were all breached last week. Almost all the call credit spreads were green. General Motors was breached by literally like 8 or 9 cents. It was so little that if you were in a trade from General Motors and you let it go all the way, you still would have ended up either break even or you would have ended up with a couple dollars of profit. So even though it was a partial breach, it was so close to the 41 that the person still, if you had traded General Motors, you still should have been at break even. At the very least, you should have been at break even. On the put credit spread side, Clean Spark did fine. TQQQ, Exxon, and Amazon were all good on the put credit spread side, right? So I still feel like though, listen, I'm not gonna break my neck, we're gonna break my arm to do anything, but listen, 70% success rate is still good stuff. That's still good stuff. If you had picked, well, of course, one or two that wasn't on the breach list, which many of us had a few that got breached, me included. Listen, just like when I pick these things for us, when I pick these trades for us, I pull off this same list. I don't put a list together for social media and then I go trade off of some other list. No, bro, I'm right here on the same list. If I do the research that puts together the list, well, I don't have any reason to go do another list. I'm trading the exact same list that y'all are trading, right? So I had a few of these trades that got breached. I got breached on Mara last week. Actually, I didn't intentionally enter Mara. I left Mara open on my Peakbot trade. I really meant to change it back to TQQQ, but I left out. Make sure I do that today when I get off this call because I don't want Mara to. I don't mind that Peakbot does it for me. Y'all know I talk about Peakbot a lot. I want Peakbot to do it for me, but last week I wanted a different. I did not want to. Yeah, last week I didn't want Mara. I wanted Peakbot. I didn't want Mara. I wanted TQQQ. And then by the time I remembered to go back and look for it, Mara that trade had already been entered. And I was like, oh, shucks. Yes. So Jamie said 70% is a passing grade. Yeah, listen, I teach at a school that 58% is a passing grade. And I'm like, what the world? Well, this should not be passing. It's not really passing, it's a D. And they can't go to the next class with it, but it still feels to me like anyhow. Yes, I'm right here in the trenches. I'm right here in here with y'all. Y'all see, I'll put on here and say, yep, I got breached too. I got breached. I know I got breached on Mara. I got breached. My thing is right here. I got breached on Mara. I got breached on. I had an affirm trade last week too. I think that was last week, and then I had another. Maybe I've got my weeks mixed up. No, that was a different week. I also lost that Intel. I got breached on that. And my Mara trade. T triple Q. No, that was not there. Yep. So yeah, just so you know, I'm right here. Right. So I'm pulling off the same list y'all pulling off of. Right. I'm eating out the same pond. We're eating out the same pot, as they say. I'm eating out the same pot. So I want you to know that we all in this thing together. We all in this thing together. Right. Let me go before I go here. I want to go to look at what kind of are we there? Yes. I want to look at some things we got coming up this week. The VIX currently is at 1441. VIX being up basically says this is the fear in the market or the fear indicator. It's actually at 1441, probably based on the close of the 14th, the 15th. I'm not sure if this is updating currently. It may be, it may not be. I kind of doubt it. I think it's just from the other day, and then that's what we get. I could go pull it up on the chart if I wanted to. CNBC, we need to act now. Climate first. How the climate crisis will affect the U.S. economy. Putin seen winning as an expected landslide, 88% of the Russian election. Oh my goodness. White House urges the Senate to move swiftly on TikTok bill as lawmakers drag their heels. I don't know. I really feel like, and this is me. I mean, I understand that whatever's going on with TikTok, we are concerned about the people who own TikTok taking our data and misusing it. And I think that is very real. That is a very real threat. Not that all the other social media platforms don't pull data from us as well. They may say they don't misuse it and they only use it for their algorithms to sell us stuff, which somebody may feel is not harmful. But I feel like we got so many bigger issues. Again, I'm not a politician. I don't do all those things, but I also feel like we got bigger fish to fry. We frying the wrong fish. That's just my thoughts. This is Okay. I don't know if we're still here. I'm back. Can y'all hear me? See me? Hello, can y'all hear me? I'm back. I hope you can hear me. I'm not sure what that was all about. Let me see if we can get us some slides on. Oh, good. Ah la la. It just went haywire all on its own. I don't want you. Just went haywire. Oh, wonderful. Whew. Thank y'all for hanging out. I'm not sure what went on with that. I was like, where in the world, where did people go? Where did I go? My mouse just pooped. My computer just basically said, I'm out. I'm taking me a break. It did just that. It took a break. Let's get ourselves back up and running. Everything's coming back up. And we'll keep it popping. We got some good stuff to talk about today. Don't be trying to, act up. You know how when your kids get in the mall and they be acting, ACKIN. It's not acting. You're not acting up. They be acting up. You're like, don't try me. Don't try me. All righty, here we go. Here we go. Anyway, maybe they didn't want me. You know what? They were right when I was talking about TikTok. I wonder if somebody bothered my computer because I was talking about TikTok. The man, we read the book 1984 way back, and the stuff they talked about then, it was like an unheard of, that all these things where cameras would watch you and Big Brother would listen to you in all these spaces, and we thought that was just crazy talk. Next thing we knew, it was real life. That and some. That and then some. Real life. Okay, so that's what's going on. Let me move on from the current events page before my old system go down. I'm like, no, this is no bueno. For my old system, we out. Woo. Okay, so this coming week we've got some events coming up. Tomorrow we got the National Association of Home Buyers. That's the housing market index. That's going to show up tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. On Tuesday, we've got building permits and housing starts. Listen, I'm telling you, there must be some money somewhere in housing starts, because they're putting 2 new neighborhoods out here by me, which I'm not going to complain about, because if these new houses are, they put them on par with ours, and it's going to bring my value right on up too. And I'm definitely going to be ready to, make it do what it do. So Janae says, yes, Tanya, the internet may not have ears, but it definitely sees all. Listen, it don't miss nothing. The Tik long-term purchases and all that stuff is Tuesday. On Wednesday, this is the day. Ding, ding, ding. If you were half listening, I tell my students, tune in. If you were half listening, now's the time to tune in. We're going to do FOMC on Wednesday afternoon. Jerome is going to come and tell us about what it is they're going to do this year. Some folks are anticipating him saying there's going to be a rate cut. Other people are anticipating him saying not yet. Not just yet. I think that the pieces of information that they're getting are like sending mixed messages. The stock market is steady moving to all-time highs. They ain't even like, it ain't weird that the stock market people ain't bothered by the fact that the economy is looking like this. But I also think there's things that are not being shared. Like, we're not being told of the banks that really are crashing. We're not being told about some of the other companies. We're hearing about layoffs, but you're hearing about them like as an afterthought. There are companies that are having trouble, and that's not being talked about. That's not being touted. We're focusing on only the good, which I'm all for that. I'm all for positive focus, but I also want us to be realistic in our focus. So I think some of that's going on. But anyway, we're going to hear from Jerome Powell on Wednesday about what is going on with FOMC or whatever. That is that definitely will yield some volatility. It's going to yield some volatility. So whichever strategies you trade, if you are a seller, you need to probably wait, hold up till after it's all said and done and ride the wave, because you don't need to get in front of a bus. Not as a seller. We don't have to get in front of the train, and we don't have to guess. So you can just give it a minute, give it a beat, as they say. And then after the market starts to move in whatever direction, ride the wave. All right. Thursday, we've got unemployment. That's another red folder. The Philly Fed is an orange folder. This is all before the market. At 9:45, we've got PMI, which I did say that was coming this week. PMI, existing home sales is at 10. Natural gas storage, an FOMC member Barr will speak at 12 o'clock. And then on Friday, Fed Chair Powell will speak again. Now, I'm thinking he's speaking at something for that. Let's see. He's due to deliver opening remarks at a Fed Listens event in Washington. Okay, more hawkish than expected is good for currency, right? As head of the central bank, he basically has these talks, but he has, usually he has like people who are the news people are there. Head of the central bank, which controls short term, he has more influence over the nation's currency value than any other person. The traders scrutinize his public engagements as they are often used to drop subtle clues regarding future monetary policy. Okay, that's what he's going to do on Friday morning. He's going to speak at this opening remarks at this event in Washington. That's why he's on here for twice in the same week. Probably not going to say nothing different on Friday than he said on Wednesday, but I'm thinking if people didn't want to hear him on Wednesday, they're probably not going to want to hear him on Friday either. What time is the FOMC on Wednesday? It is at 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock Central, it's between 2 and 2:30, because 2 o'clock is where the statement is made and 2:30 is where you have the press conference. And the press conference is really where the information is told, but 2 o'clock is really where the statement comes out. Okay. Janae says no rate cut yet, not in this election year, but they have to mention it to seem nonpartisan. I can go with that. Bernadette asked about Wednesday. Got that. Deborah says yes. You're welcome, Bernadette. Very welcome. Very welcome. Okay. I think we talked about SPX there already. Cool. We're ready to move into the meat. Probably the reason why most of y'all is here. Like, I'm here. All that stuff sounds good, lady, but let's get to how I can make some money off NVIDIA. Let's get to the good parts. Is that what that commercial says? Let's get to the good stuff. I think it says that. Okay. All righty. So now I need y'all to tune in, open your ears, and tune in. 4 ways to trade NVIDIA when you don't have a bunch of monties. Because I looked at those NVIDIA at the money contracts last Friday. Them mugs was $4,000. I said, "Ooh, wow." I think that's interesting, Bernadette. Bernadette says, "What do I think about SMCI being added to the S&P?" NVDU. I'm not sure what that is, but you can tell us in the comments. All righty. NVDU. Sounds like I'm probably going to know what you say, but we'll wait till you say something. 4 ways. Let's look at the first way. The first way. Now, the thought is, but wait, before I go here, I don't want to go there first. I want to go to a chart first. Let's look at the chart. Let's look at our chart, because we are charters. We are charters. We're going to look at the chart first, and then we'll talk about what could potentially be going on. Now, this is what makes me talk about NVIDIA this week. As I understand it, NVIDIA got some news. Somebody came out and said they raised the price target, and I think they might have raised the price target up to 1,100, right? So NVIDIA has gotten some news. Keyword there. We got the news from NVIDIA. Let's look at our chart. This is a daily chart. I'm going to go to the weekly too here in a minute and see where we are, right? But this is our daily chart. Let's look at what we see, because we're charters. That's how we. Now, the chart isn't everything, okay? The chart isn't everything, but it is a good place to start. When folks decide to pile on, sometimes the chart may not carry as much weight. It may not matter as much, but we don't throw away the chart either, because that's what we use is the chart. Okay, we already know that from a This probably is a support right here. I'm going to go to the weekly, and I'm going to bring us in some more data so we can have some more information to ponder. We can clearly see that it does not take a genius to see that NVIDIA has been moving on an upward trend. Did not take any rocket scientist to figure that out. The trend, now we've had a whole lot of green weeks. This is the weekly chart, right? Which means every data point is a week's worth of data, a derivative of NVIDIA. Yeah, I thought that was probably it. Does it pay dividends too? So we've had these are all the weeks. We took a little pause. NVIDIA took a pause back here in the week of February the 12th. It's got some gaps between these weeks, but it has done. And this is the first time we had a real high candle up here. And it's kind of inside the same place of this candle. I wouldn't call it like, what is it called when we have a candle that's inside of the candle before? Not engulfing, because that's backwards. The other way, though. This one isn't quite that because it's closed a little bit higher. When the candle, Jamie's on the call. Jamie, what is it called when I think Jamie's on the call. When the second candle is totally inside of this first one. I want to say a harami, but I feel like it's called something else. Anyway, sorry I'm putting you on the spot, Jamie, to ask you that, because you probably like, well, it's got it in the back of my mind. Anyway, it's not quite that. Whatever I'm saying, it's not that, but it's close to that, right? But sometimes these long wicks going up can mean there may be a bit of a turn. But in this case, let me see if I can turn on a moving average. Okay, these are our moving averages, and our moving averages are not only stacked in the upwards moving direction, but they're fanned out. They're stacked and they're fanned, right? I got, let me tell you the numbers. I want to say this is like the 10, the 20, the 50, and the 200. I'm pretty sure that's what I have here. 10, 20, 50, and 200. Again, not only are they going upwards in the right order to talk about being bullish, but they're also fanned out, which means they've got a little room before they can try to tighten back up together to cross over. At this point, they're still, this is the weekly chart we're on, right? We're on the weekly chart, right? Let's change ourselves back to the daily. You just need to know that weekly charts will provide more support, resistance, more trend looking than the daily. Daily is going to show you day to day. Now, we do see that this 10-period moving average is starting to level off at least, but it's still a pretty good way from the yellow. The yellow is the 20. It's still a pretty good ways from the yellow. So our trend line still holds. It still kind of fell off below, but it fell to the 20, went back up, run. And again, this could actually pull back to the 20. The 20 moving average can operate almost like a lasso, where the price will pull into the 20 and then it bounces off it and pulls in and bounce and pull in and bounce. Okay, it also seems to be doing that off the 10, right? So it could be a little bit more downwards, but we got a support back here at 857. 857 is our support from Monday of this week. Monday of this week, we have a support here. Okay, so keep that in mind. We got an upwards moving trend, and we have a support at 857. We already know we're bullish. The NVIDIA is bullish, right? We know this from all the things and all the reasons NVIDIA is still bullish, right? So if we have bullish thoughts, NVDU provides 1.5 leverage exposure, less fees, expenses for the daily price movement. All right, cool. We'll add that in here in a minute when we get ready to talk about ways that we can benefit when we don't have a lot of monies. All right, so now we looked at the chart. And do we all agree that NVIDIA at this point is something that's most likely bullish? Okay, we don't ever know what the stock market going to do, because the stock market do what it do. But the trend at this point appears bullish. How can we benefit from this trend when we don't have a bunch of money? Yes, you could buy a call. You could buy calls, though they're expensive. And if you don't have a bunch of money, putting one options contract on NVIDIA may not be your best move. But we could sell a put credit spread. We could sell a put credit spread. You can identify your strongest support level, which we kind of just talked about, 857. If you chart and you see something different or better, go with what you see, right? Identify the strongest support level. Use that as your sell leg. Select the strike below that as your buy leg. This trade is going to use about $500 of collateral because NVIDIA is a 5 spread. Okay, if you don't know what I'm talking about with credit spreads, I'm going to have something to show you here in a minute that'll help you a little bit more understanding. But if you understand what I'm talking about, ride with me. This trade is going to use about $500 in collateral because NVIDIA is a 5 spread, and it should net you about 15% in profits. And I put approximate. Again, I probably should have put a star next to that. This is not investment advice. I'm not telling you exactly what you're going to get. I'm just saying that the possibility is there. Depending on where you put your sale leg and how close you are to current price, that's going to determine how much you're going to get. I will say this, though. I think we're potentially going to have a good green day. Maybe on NVIDIA, maybe tomorrow, and potentially on Tuesday. But once the news comes out, people who run up with it may take their profits, right? So you may end up, there may be some pullback because we're going to buy the rumor, which is rumor now is the news is coming, and we're going to sell the news. And the news is going to come that says, or has already come, that people are going to run it up potentially. This is all potentially. And then they may take their profits, which may pull it back some. Okay, could it run up first though? Yes. Yes to the PCS, stay on the lower end though. Yes, I'm with Janae. If you want to go lower than the 857, or definitely use our probability out of the money, we use that when we're picking our strikes. Use all the things that we use to decide on our strikes. Don't throw away your risk management stuff and your proper selections. Don't throw all that stuff away just because I'm talking about it right now. That doesn't mean I want you to get necessarily at the money and do the conference this week is a good thing as well. All right. Sell or put credit spread. That's one way you can do it. Select strikes that you're comfortable with. You see, I don't have any strikes on this paper because I don't want anybody saying, you told me to use 850 and it fell down to 800. No. I believe a put credit spread will work for this week. Maybe a couple of days, maybe it'll run up and you can get out early. It ain't got to stay in all week. If you believe it's bullish, which I believe it's bullish too, okay, you can also buy a call debit spread. You can buy a call debit spread. That's a way for you to get in on the upwards movement, just like you would as a buyer, but it will take less money on your end. You're going to identify your strongest and closest support level. When the price bounces off of it going upwards, then enter your spread, getting as close to at the money as possible. You listen, if my community doesn't do a lot of buying. So I'm not trying to coach on buying. I'm saying that if you want to get as close to at the money as you possibly can, but you want to make sure that it's going in the way you want it to be going. When you're a buyer, the entry place and entry time is a lot more important than when you're a seller. Did y'all get that? When you're a buyer, entry time and entry spot is a lot more important than when you're a seller. When you're a seller, you want to get where price ain't going, and you want to, where you think it's not going. And when you do that, it's really up to you. It would be better if you do it closer to support, but it's not mandatory. The entry time is not as important to us as sellers. You want to select that strike that you choose at the money, select that strike as your buy leg, and select the strike below that as your sell leg. All right, I hope everybody's with me. This trade is going to cost you, this one's going to cost you about $150 or $200, depending on what your strike is. It's going to cost you money. You're buying into this trade, so it's going to cost you money. But it could net you up to $300 or $350. Why am I saying it's going to net only $300 or $350? Well, if you pay $150, the most you can get back out of this spread is the difference between the $500 and what you paid. So it's a 5 spread. You pay $150. The most you can get back out of it is $350. If you pay $200, the most you can get out of it is $300 more. Okay, or $300, right? So this is called debit spreads, and I'm not a buyer coach. I'm a seller's coach, but I have taught spreads, and I do know how they work. All right, these spreads are used when there's higher volatility and you have a good idea of the direction. Spreads are for debit spreads are used when you have a good idea of direction. Credit spreads, direction is not as important. What's a third way? A third way to trade NVIDIA when you don't have a bunch of money is to trade an NVIDIA adjacent stock. NVIDIA adjacent, right? I put a few here. This is not an exhaustive list because I think NVDU, Bernadette just mentioned NVDU, and there's others. I think NVDY. Jamie, I think you've mentioned NVDY before. I asked him a question. He didn't reply. He must not be in a place where he can reply. I think NVDY was brought up in one of our group conversations to go along with like Clip and Tesla. I think there's an NVDY that's also something you could potentially use. So this list is not exhaustive. This list don't include everything. I just put some stuff on here that I think people know and recognize. You've got AMD, SOXL, AVGO, Taiwan Semiconductors, SMH, SMCI could be added potentially. I think that that the MicroStrategy, I didn't put that on because MicroStrategy costs more than NVIDIA does. So I didn't put that on here. And SOXX is much like SOXL. It's an ETF as well. These are stocks you could potentially trade. These are stocks you could potentially trade in place of NVIDIA. You could trade these instead of NVIDIA. If they're, like SOXL and SOXX are going to still benefit from the move of NVIDIA because they're an ETF. I should have put SPY on here because SPY is actually going to move along with it too. If NVIDIA moves up like that, so is SPY. So is SPX because NVIDIA is heavy in some of those ETFs. MicroStrategy is extremely high. People are profiting off of it, but those contracts, yes, sir. So use these any of these adjacent stocks, is NVIDIA adjacent stocks. Use credit spreads or debit spreads to maximize your profits. Now you're going to have to decide which ones you like, and you're going to have to decide which strikes you like, right? Use the same things I just told you of how to identify your strikes. Use those same two things from slide 1 and slide 2. Right? But pick another stock that fits your budget better. If you don't have a bunch of money, SOXL I know has very reasonable contracts. AMD is now a 2.5 spread. You can trade it as a 2.5 credit spread or debit spread. Taiwan Semiconductors is still a 1 spread. You can trade that, right? You trade something that is going to go along with NVIDIA. Please don't let greed be the thing that has yourself all out there. Don't do that. Don't let greed take you into a place, or FOMO take you into a place you aren't willing to go or you're not ready to go. I don't know about Intel, Bernadette. Intel has just they have not been given. Intel has not been giving. So maybe, you definitely could take a look at it and see if there's an opportunity. I actually have Intel on our list on the call credit spread side. I don't have it on the put credit spread side because Intel has not been doing what it's supposed to have been doing. It has not been acting right? So, if there's an opportunity though, then let's, make it work for you. All righty. Intel, from what I've seen, has not traveled along with NVIDIA and those guys. They keep getting bad news, and don't nobody bring me no bad news. Nobody bring me no bad news. Okay. Here we go. Number 4. If you want to trade NVIDIA, you don't have a lot of money, you really can buy partial shares. So many of the platforms now allow you to do partial shares. Then buy partial shares. If you say, well, you know what, I got $100, I got $300, I got whatever amount of money, I can put that on it. And then when it's got the profit you want it to have, you just sell it back. If you want to do partial, either buy and hold. If you want to be continue to dollar cost average yourself in, and you want to, buy something to hold on as you go, dollar cost average, DCA, you'll hear people mention, do that. Or you can buy it and sell it. Buy it and sell it. Buy some. If it pops, you sell it and take your profits off the table. A lot of times we overlook the shares. We overlook the shares because a lot of us are trading options now all the time and not the shares. But at the bottom here, you see I write, shares are an asset. Shares are the asset. You own shares, you own something. You own a piece of the company. Options are electronic paper. Options, you can't go into the bank and borrow against no options contracts. But you can go into the bank and borrow against some shares, right? You can use your shares as collateral. You can't use options as collateral. So partial shares is another way, a fourth way. Okay, so I've told you 4 ways. I've told you 4 ways that we can benefit from NVIDIA's movement if it's bullish and its plans to have we think there may be a bit of a pop. You may be able to benefit from that. First of all, I want you to determine that you agree that that it's bullish and there's going to be a pop, right? First of all, you need to arrive there. Right? So that way you can play it, or you can trade it. I like to say the word play. You can trade it as a bullish stock. Well, I don't think everybody considers it's bullish. Could it pull back some? Absolutely. All stocks pull back and rest a bit, which we see that it's done that. We do see that it's pulled back and rested a bit already. But you can do put credit spreads. That's a bullish move. You can do a call debit spread. That's another bullish move. You can trade something else. Trade it as a bullish or bearish. If you're doing credit spreads, you can maybe potentially do you a iron condor and get both sides. You do iron condor and get on both sides of it, pull in some premiums, right, from both sides. Take that $4,000 they want you to buy NVIDIA contracts with and put it on several of these. Now, I just want you to also keep in mind that you want to stay balanced. Don't put all your money in one space in one sector. And then so if it goes down, all your trades go down. So, you want to definitely practice proper risk management. Right? Don't overload your portfolio in one sector and then it don't go your way and all your trades go in the tank too. You want to always make sure that you keep you some powder to put in the gun. Right? I don't know if that was a good analogy. Do we want to keep powder? You want to keep yourself some seed. There we go. Some seed to put in the ground. That sounds a little better. You want to keep some seed to put in the ground. You don't ever want to trade all your money. There's people who blown up accounts. I'm people. There are people who have blown up accounts. I am people. And it's not a good feeling to have blown it up and the next day you're ready to trade some more. And you're like, I got $30. I got $40 in my trading account. I either got to put more in here or grow this. And I know that feeling, and it's not a comfortable one. So we can do NVIDIA adjacent stocks, or you can just do shares. You can buy shares and keep them, or you can buy shares and sell them. Okay. Okay. Let me see what I had next. Anybody got any questions or comments? We got any questions or comments? Anybody got something they want to add to the talk? I just spent some time talking about credit spreads and debit spreads. Okay. If neither of those things are in your wheelhouse and you're not real sure what I'm talking about with credit spreads or debit spreads, or you want to know more about credit spreads and debit spreads. Credit spreads are kind of when you don't care as much about you don't know the direction. Debit spreads are for when you do know a direction. But listen, if you use credit spreads and debit spreads, you'll never need another strategy because those cover everything the market can do can be covered inside of credit spreads and debit spreads. You understand how to work those two strategies? Those are the two strategies you'll ever need, ever. And of course, there's other things. We want people to have a full tool bag if you want one, but you won't need another strategy after these two. But I do have a bundle. There's a bundle on my website that will give you this whole thing. And I think I want to say it is, let me go and grab it so I can make sure to have a full link. So I can give you the direct link to it. Let me make sure I can find it. I want to give you the link to it so you can get in to it. Let me go make sure it's here. Get the bundle. You can basically see you have yourself you can have access to credit spreads and debit spreads all at the same time. Nope, I don't want that. There we go. I want to make sure that we can get it. Let me get the link for you. Hold on. Just a little while longer. Hold on. Just a little while longer. Hold on. Just a little while longer. Here we come in. Okay. Control C. Make sure I have it. All right, dear. Okay. That should be cool there. All righty. So if you want the bundle, you can just do one or the other. If you just want credit spreads or just want debit spreads, they're both on my website. You can go and grab either one of them. Remember, I talked to you about the challenge we just finished. Coming out of the challenge, will the recording from 401 just be on Telegram group? No, there's an email. Oh, Lisa, I've sent emails. I sent 3 emails, Lisa, as well as they're in the Telegram, and you can go back to my website to go back to the challenge. And once you log into the website, you can see all 3 of them there as well. Okay. So if you did, we finished the challenge up last week. At the end of the challenge, we talked about 6 weeks live options coaching. 6 weeks live option coaching. Right? It's taking you from starting all the way up to where you're going to have strategies. We're going to get your accounts open, find your way around your platforms, whichever you decide you're using, understanding the lingo of options, which of course is a whole new language. You're going to learn to chart, do technical analysis. We're going to teach all 3 selling strategies we've discussed: selling puts, selling covered calls, and doing credit spreads. And we're going to get you a trading plan set up for profits. And you're going to have access to our membership. Right? This is 6 weeks of live options coaching. And at this point, the price for the 6 weeks of live options coaching is $397. 6 weeks of me being there with you, coaching, training. We've got some videos you will watch as preparation, but then we will come live. It's going to happen in the evenings. We're not going to have no training class on options in the middle of the trading day. I know better than that. I did that before, and people be on other stuff. They mind on other things. They mind on their trades. They mind on their jobs. They mind on other things. So we do these things at in the evening. So that way we can focus on our learning in the evenings. We'll set a time as a group, maybe 6 or 7, depending on what works best for everyone. And we'll do that. But it's $397 for 6 weeks. Brings you into our community. You get to hang out in our ecosystem. Of course, you get to hang out with me. Not that anybody cares about that. Really, what you care about is, are you going to teach me what I need to know to start making money? And the answer to that question is yes. Am I going to teach you what you need to know to start trading options? The answer is yes. When I first took a class, I paid a bunch of money for a class. And those of you who know my backstory know I paid a bunch of money for a class. And we got a bunch of videos to watch. We had a bunch of videos. I watched them all. I watched all my videos because I didn't know what I didn't know. So I watched all the videos. I took copious notes. And when it was all over said and done, I never not once sat on a call myself with the person who was in charge. Never not once. The person who sold it to me, I never not once was on a video with that person. But that's not my story as it pertains to, and again, I'm not disparaging that. I'm just saying that that's not how, at this point, that's not how I'm running Educator to Trader. When I say I'm going to be live coaching, it's going to be me. Y'all been with those who've been around me long enough to know that's how we roll around these parts. I will provide some videos because I do like for you to have the pre-knowledge, some prep work, so that way when we come to where I'm live and I'm teaching you, I'm not starting from scratch. Hopefully your brain will already have some of the words in your head. You have already looked at some stuff and you're not trying to learn from me and look at the stuff at the same time, right? You're going to have done that in your own time. So that way when I start to teach and we're teaching, you're going to be able to connect some dots. I'm an educator. I'm an educator as my profession. That's what I do, right? This is what I do. And I want to make sure that we get what we need from the education arena, right? I believe that banner should be running, but I don't think it is. It should have been running along the bottom of the screen, but now it's running. This must have been the time. If you want to join up, it's starting on April the 1st. We got a couple weeks. We're starting it on April the 1st, right? We're going to run it for 6 weeks from April the 1st, I think, to May 17th or something like that. We're going to run. We even have a graduation at the end. We get certificates. And we graduate at the end to see everything that's going. If you're in my community, you probably have already gotten emails and stuff from me. And if you've gotten emails from me, you've seen the links and so those things that go along with this already. But I want to tell you that that's a program we got going. That's what we got going. If you're somebody who says, I don't need all that, Arlissa, I really just want to know the strategies that you use as a seller, we have the bundle, right? The bundle is $4.97 for all the stuff that we do. It includes everything I've taught. It's a full bundle. It is $4.97. Again, you can head over to Educator2Trader and pick that up if you so choose. All right. I've been talking about us going left this year. We're still doing this. We're still doing this. We're leaning into one or two strategies. I was just talking about if you do credit spreads and debit spreads, that's your two strategies, right? We're leaning into one or two strategies, getting education. We must get educated. A lot of us want to get stuff and we want to learn it, but we don't want no seat time and we don't want screen time. There's this doing trading is almost impossible to do without seat time and screen time. This is not something you learn on the fly. You can listen to people while you're riding in your car, but you can't look at charts and drive. How do I know this? I've tried. I've tried to watch charts and drive. And no, that's not wise. Don't do like me. Like I said, don't trade places with me, Miss Silly. Don't do like me. Don't do like me. Don't want to do that. We're going to focus on fundamentals. Fundamentals includes charting and technical analysis, which is something I will teach you in that 6 weeks span of time, right? I'll teach you that in there. And then we want to trade with the trading plan. If you're just throwing it at the wall, you're going to have a problem with it, with helping it stick. You're going to have a problem with this stick, and we really want to make sure that you got a plan that you're following. When am I going to enter? When am I going to exit? What's my risk management? Am I not trading when I don't feel well? Am I trading when I am distracted? And what am I going to do to study? Am I going to look back and journal my trades after I've done them? All that stuff comes with the trading plan, right? And some people don't like, no, we don't have that. Well, yeah, you should have that. You should have something that gives you some guidance for when you're going to trade, right? You need something that has guidance for when you're going to trade. All righty. I believe that might have covered everything I wanted to cover toward the end of our run. All righty. We covered a bunch today. We covered earnings. We covered last week. We covered, I'm putting this back up one more time. I want us to make sure that we have trade ideas for the previous week. We've got that. This video stays up on YouTube. Of course, it doesn't go anywhere. YouTube is YouTube. It'll be right there. You can always go back and watch the replay and see the things I put on those, on those slides. You can go and look at that if you want. You can do that. You're very welcome, Tanya. This is our list of option seller trade ideas. Right? We've got trade ideas here. If you want to snap a shot or you want to just come back and snap it when you do a replay, up to you. But this is some ideas for next week. You know, again, I've said this in the past. There's hundreds, if not thousands of dollars in this list. Right? Pick one and run it. Pick two, run it. Pick five and run them. There's money right here in this list. And do take these trades, right? Go look on your own chart. Decide if you like these strike prices. If you don't, adjust them to what you do like. Potentially, you're more aggressive. And if you're more aggressive, move them to a more aggressive place. And if you're less aggressive, you're more conservative, move them to a more conservative place. All right, definitely do that. And then wait. Always tell you this, on these credit spreads, you want to wait until the market has opened on Monday. Give it a little bit of time to settle down, because first thing in the morning, all the orders from this weekend rush in at 9:30. So wait till 10:15, 10:30 before you enter some of these, because let the market settle down some. So that way you can get a good judge of what things are doing. All right. All right. Nobody seemed to have any comments or questions from earlier. We covered a lot. We went through the 4 ways you can benefit from NVIDIA this week or on Monday, Tuesday. You want to watch and check your charts. Of course, I'm not telling anybody to just blindly trust me. That's why I teach people to chart. So you have your own analysis. And if you don't know how to chart, there's a few videos on my YouTube channel, and there's also a free webinar. I'm going to put the link in the chat. Start with the chart, and I'm going to do .com because they be tripping over there. Startwiththechart.com is a really good free webinar on the basics of charting. Kind of takes you into some candle patterns. It talks about indicators. It's a really good, 40 minutes. I think it's not long at all. Startwiththechart.com is a free webinar on charting. All righty. All right, everyone. We do two things in this community. We try to do it every single day and every single week. Some weeks are better than others, but we definitely want to stay green and we want to get this money. All right. I will see you all in the market. Definitely in the morning. I'll be back live tomorrow morning. Jamie runs it on Mondays and Wednesdays, but I do come in to the call. Usually about 9:30 or so, I come into the call. But, my right-hand dude helps me to carry the load because this is a load. We're trying to move as many people. We're moving the ball down the field. We're moving as many people down the field as we can get down it. And sometimes we all need a little bit of help. And I'm on spring break this week. So I'm doing spring break stuff too. All right, y'all. I'm going to see you later. I want everybody to have a really good evening. I bid you a fond farewell. I wish you the best in your trading for this week. All right. Have a great green week. I'll talk to you all later. Bye, everyone.